Okay, it is 4:09. I would like to call the special meeting for the Board of Assessment Appeals to order. First agenda item is roll call present. We have Chairman Sean Britell and Regina Pinn and Lori Ferdinand. So our first hearing is scheduled for 4:15, which is CTech Solar. I guess we don't really have much to do until in here. So, yeah.
Okay.
Does everybody have a copy of the CTech?
Yeah. Yes.
Hopefully there we are. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Right, we can hear you.
Oh, perfect. I can see you.
Great. So first of all, thank you for accommodating and being able to join us. Before we get started, I just need to read you an oath and have you just confirm. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so CTech Solar.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So this is the solar installation that is on top of the International Skating Center. And we have a long and storied history with the town with regard to the personal property assessment. I came before the board last year with regard to the assessment for the 2018 grand list, and it seems like a world away since the last time I met with the board. And you guys were great last year. You gave us the relief that we were seeking, and we really appreciate everything that you did. You may recall, the members of the board who were on the board last year, that we've had an appeal pending with the town for prior years that's been at the Superior Court. And we did not appeal your decision last year because it was a favorable decision. And again, we very much appreciate that. We've been in discussions with the town's attorney for several months now with regard to trying to work out the prior years that have been under appeal, as well as the current year. And so the value that we are seeking on the BAA application is the result of the decision of the board from last year, with some additional depreciation for 2019, since personal property depreciates annually. So this is a value that we have proposed to the town. Attorney Bob DiCrescenzo, who's the town's attorney, does have a settlement proposal, and it would be a global settlement for the years that are in Superior Court and include 2019. And this is the value that we have proposed to Bob as part of that overall global settlement. So to preserve our rights and to continue forward, this is the value that we have on it, which Bob is aware of, and we are seeking from the board this year.
So I'm just going through this myself here. This is the value going, what's the depreciation, I guess, from last year to this year?
It's 10%.
10%.
So it's
Okay.
following a 10% schedule, yes.
So one of the documents,
Go ahead, Regina.
one of the documents we have in our packet is what looks like filled out in December. So the 2019 depreciation submitted by the property owners. And I do remember the conversation about the IACC panels from last year. But catch me up, it looks like the depreciated value that the property owner put in the document is the number that the town's using for the depreciated value. So it doesn't look like, when I first read the packet, it looked like you guys had put in the fair market value or something like that, and there was a disagreement about the depreciation schedule. The paperwork, it looks like the client produced the proposed depreciation value, and that is what the assessor's using right now. Am I reading that correctly?
The client, there should be two versions of the declaration. One should be following the town's methodology, and then the other one should be based on what the client feels the property is worth and what's been proposed to Bob DiCrescenzo. So there aren't two schedules there.
So let's see. So it at least I only have one schedule
Okay.
received by the assessor's office December 12th.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else that would let me be able to explain which one we're looking at. Got the account number. So the one, maybe this helps you figure out which version we're looking at. On reconciliation of fixed assets, assets declared 10/119, I have a 729 number. So it's the bottom of what's page 6.
Okay, here is my challenge right now, Regina. It's for me to do Zoom. I cannot access my files, which are in Citrix, because Zoom will not work through my Citrix system. And I have everything electronically right now.
So it sounds like you guys think that there's two versions of the personal property assessment that have been filed with the assessors for 2019.
Right. One, so that we meet the statutory obligation to file consistent with the schedules, and then the other with the taxpayer's opinion of value.
Gotcha, which is in line with the ruling you guys have pending as a settlement with the town. So you've got two versions of the paperwork. So whichever way this activity proceeded, you had something that complied.
Exactly.
Okay. And so the action before the board is, it sounds like you're still in some limbo with that decision. So can we go ahead and, like it sounds like we did last year, apply the property owner's assessed opinion of value to this, which is in line with one of the two forms of this paperwork?
Right.
Okay. I actually understood that. By the time we got
I don't know if I do fully, but I did want to ask, so you're challenging the 2018 assessment too, because that's when we got down to the 215,000 amount. It was 215,420.
That one that one we didn't challenge. We were happy with the decision of the board for 18, and so we didn't challenge that one.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if we use that 215,000 number, would the 10% come off of that number? So I was just wondering. So in the letter from December 12th of this past year, it's saying that appealed the assessment for the 2018 grand list, which resulted in a reduction from 269, 280 to 215, 420. So the 215, 420 is okay.
Right.
All right. So would we take the 10% off of that as far as a depreciation?
Yes, and I think there were some disposals as well, which is why the number on the application is lower than 90% of the 215.
Okay.
I wish I could pull up both, but I can't. Technology will only allow me to do so much right now. What I can do, I don't know how much time that you have, but what I can do is try and pull them up and then call back in on Zoom, or just use a good old telephone to call you back.
I think
that we have, we're trying to keep everything within 15 minutes. Does that work for us, Sean, right now?
I mean, is it something that I think we're pretty clear on the two different numbers, and then I understand that obviously this has been an ongoing issue, so I think it's in the town's best interest to find something that's agreeable on with all parties and
okay.
And it sounds like you guys at least you think you've got a path to that, and so the action before us is just, it sounds like to make sure the 2019 doesn't become one more thing that has to go on that pile.
Exactly.
If the board finds that we want to align things to last year's. Okay.
So the number that's on the form is to help with that.
Okay. Lori, Regina, do you guys have any additional questions?
I
think I'm all set then.
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, thank you for taking the time to join us virtually.
You're welcome. I always enjoy a nice drive out to Simsbury, but another day, better times.
That sounds good to me. Okay,
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Stay healthy, stay well.
Thank you. You too.
Take care.
So if there is a second set of this paperwork, that's probably what we want to be referencing when we go into deliberations, if we can find it.
Okay.
Or if there's not really a second copy, or maybe the second copy got filed in one place and not in the other. If they're trying to reference our 2018 action, then maybe that's what we need a copy of.
I saw that in here.
And it is in their correspondence from December 12th.
Is that what's? I saw it like explained in plain English. I just don't think I noticed it as the formal copy.
All right. I'm not seeing that.
Oh yeah, the email from Michael Toro. As you may be aware, CTEC appealed the assessment from 2018 grand list.
I actually am not seeing that email.
It's not an email, but I have.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's an old-fashioned letter.
Oh, here it is. As you may be aware, yes. So that's the December 12th letter.
This is from last year, right?
2019. Sorry, I'm looking at the letter.
Oh yeah. This page. This is what you're talking about, Sean.
Final decision. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was what we did last year, right? That went from 269 to 280. I'm sorry, 269, 280 to 215.
215, and they thought that was a fair assessment. That's what I was thinking. If we take the 10% off of that, plus she had said there were some other values that needed to be adjusted. So I don't know what those are that she was referencing.
Our next appellant is in the waiting room if you guys want to accept him.
Okay.
Mr. Paul Dorsey
Okay.
for Harborside, Connecticut Limited Partner.
Are we ready, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Jennifer.
having some trouble getting him admitted for some reason.
Got all night. Cute babies.
That's my granddaughter. I'll mute for a moment.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thanks. First of all, I just want to thank you for your flexibility and being able to join us virtually here.
Oh, my pleasure. I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Before
I
we started,
did forward the Zoom information link to Allison Roskamp from the company, from the nursing home company. I'm not sure if she's going to join us or not. I believe she's the one who probably mailed the application, or excuse me, the disclosure in the first place.
let me pause you for a second there. Before
Yeah.
let me just we have to do a little bit of paperwork,
Sure.
virtual paperwork.
Yeah, we just might be joined by Allison. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
do it once she comes in, we can do that. But I need
Okay.
to take the oath. Do you solemnly swear and solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, upon penalty?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to get that out of the way before we can do that. If she does join us, we can just swear her in as well.
Okay. Yeah, great. I appreciate that.
All right. So we're talking about a late filing for Harborside, right?
That's correct. It's my understanding that the assessor's office is participating in this hearing.
Yes, correct.
Is that something you normally do?
Well, we
In all tax appeal hearings?
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I really don't have an objection to it, but it's just it's not normally the case. But
Okay. I mean, you can, there's no other way for us to be able to accomplish this.
yeah, no, it's fine. It's absolutely, it's okay. I was just asking, I just wanted to see who was participating, and I noticed Jennifer. So Ms. Russo, so I was just curious.
Okay.
I am attending as the moderator and host of the evening, as well as Francine Beeland, representing the town of Simsbury in that manner as only.
Yes, okay.
Well, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is the late filing penalty of the personal property declaration. And as you probably are aware, 12-41 provides for the mailbox rule. It's our contention that we provided evidence to the assessor's office that this was in fact mailed on October 30th, which would make it comply with the mailbox rule. And to establish that, we submitted a copy of the actual envelope that was sent to the assessor's office. You might notice a different date stamped on by the assessor. We don't know when that actually when the envelope actually made it to the assessor's office, or to City Hall for that matter, to Town Hall. And that's a bait stamper, which the date can be changed. Unlike our Pitney Bowes stamp, which can't be changed. So we know that at least the postage, we start off with the postage on the envelope itself was stamped by the Pitney Bowes machine on October 30th. That's a date that can't be changed, and Allison can testify to that if she joins us. But those dates can't be changed. They're set internally and set by the post office. Now, that doesn't mean that the Pitney Bowes machine date stamped October 30th and didn't sit around for a while before it was mailed. That's why Genesis gets what I submitted to you with Allison's explanation on top. They pay extra for this, okay, double postage, and they get this certificate of mailing from the post office. So they show up with their Pitney Bowes stamped postage stamp envelope, and then fill out this to coincide with the envelope, the mailing of the envelope. And the post office then, if it's the same address and the same sender, then stamps the receipt. So this Bates stamp here, Pitney Bowes stamp here and number corresponds with the envelope. You can see it corresponds with the envelope. So we have the certificate of mailing with the stamp from the post office. Now this wouldn't be on the envelope received by City Hall. This is a separate form that you receive from the post office. Okay, and then it's stamped by the post office, which conforms with Connecticut general statutes that I provided for you, 1-2A, as well as the Internal Revenue regulations with respect to what constitutes a postmark. So if it was just the Pitney Bowes, well, there's Allison. Do you want to swear Allison in?
Yeah, Allison, how you doing? I just want to take a quick oath from you. Do you solemnly swear and solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, the evidence you shall give concerning this case to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for joining us too.
Okay, just to recap and bring Allison up to date. Allison, I'm explaining the Pitney Bowes stamp, which is date stamped, as well as the certificate of mailing that is received from the post office.
Correct.
So this is a separate document, a separate form that you obtained from the post office when the envelope package, the declaration, was mailed to the assessor's office.
Correct. And that's what we do with all of our mailings.
All of your mailings to the assessor's offices. So in other words, well, it's self-explanatory. I mean, this date, this October 30th stamp is a post office stamp.
Correct.
All right. So the post office receives it for mailing on the 30th and gives you this receipt of mailing.
Correct.
Okay. So as I was saying, it complies not only with the Connecticut general statutes, but also with the Internal Revenue statutes. And there's ample case law on this, believe it or not, holding that even though the Pitney Bowes stamp is not a stamp, quote unquote, placed by the post office, once you have that certificate of mailing with the post office confirmation, the rule is met. I don't know why the assessor's office is dated on a later date. I don't know if it sat in the mail at City Hall. I don't know if it sat in the assessor's office before they picked it up and dealt with it. We don't know that. And that's a Bates stamp, which is a changeable date, unlike the Pitney Bowes, and of course the certificate of mailing received from the post office with their official stamp on it. So
may I ask, I just want to ask a question with certified mail. So this was the, what is the copy that we have here?
that's
That
correct.
was what was attached on the package that went to town hall. And then when it's received, is something signed and a postcard then sent back to you confirming receipt? Because that's the way I'm familiar with certified mail, but I don't know if there's other forms of.
This is a certificate of mailing. It is a United States Post Office form that is similar to your certificate of mailing, but it's just to certify the postmark. That's what-
Okay.
That
It's to
is sort of-
certify the Pitney Bowes postmark. So these aren't, it wasn't sent certified mail return receipt requested. There are lots of these forms that are sent. Allison can testify to that.
Thousands.
Yeah, and it gets expensive and time consuming. So what they do is when they go to the post office and file the declaration, they get their postmark, their Pitney Bowes postmark certified that this is what was sent, the same
I'm
number.
sorry, perhaps everyone else in this conversation knows this. What does Pitney Bowes have to do with this whole situation? Pitney Bowes,
Because
I
the
thought, is
original-
a third party. No. I think I'm even at a dumber level than that. Is Pitney Bowes acting as a contractor moving your mail? Is it a specific piece of equipment? What is
It's
Pitney Bowes?
equipment.
Pitney Bowes is the postage machine that probably the majority of companies have.
Okay, so that's a machine that your team has internal to your
In-house.
office, in your
That's correct.
mail room or whatever, and
That's
it's used at what point in the process?
I'll explain how we do this, okay?
Please.
I mean, Genesis Healthcare obviously sends out thousands and thousands of returns. Okay, I do a lot of them in the state of Connecticut for these. So what we do is we have a person in our tax department physically take the mail down to our mailroom, and with the mailroom personnel, they weigh it and they put the postage on. And then our tax department employee takes that mail physically to the post office and gives it to them, and the postmaster stamps each of those certified mail certificate of mailings, and then they come back from the post office. We actually send our tax department employee to the post office with that. We do not have our mail room take it to the post office because they have so much to do themselves, and they've got several buildings to do. So our tax department employee takes all of the mail to the post office and stands there and waits as the postmaster reviews the piece of mail, making sure that it's weighed properly, reviews that the date is the date that they're there, and then stamps it and gives that certificate of mailing back to our tax department employee.
So that's this piece of it here.
That's correct. And that
Okay, so
corresponds with,
I'm so sorry. I'm still trying to repeat for my own understanding.
that's quite right.
So the filling out of Town of Simsbury assessor is by your team, the tax department team, and that's where the stamp that says US postage Pitney Bowes, that piece of ink is applied while the mail is still in possession of your team.
That's correct.
Bowes is put on in our mailroom.
So then the tax, sounds like the tax team takes the mail, brings it to the post office where it's reviewed. This certificate of mailing is issued back to the tax team, your team, and the mail is given to the post office at that point or returned to the possession of your team.
No, it's that they're physically going to the post office and giving the postmaster all of the envelopes. Postmaster goes through each envelope, makes sure it's weighed correctly so the right postage is on it, make sure the correct date is on it, and then they'll stamp it with their, whatever you want to call it, machine, saying the date that they got it, that's the postmark date. And then they give that form back to our employee, who then attaches it to our backup in the office.
Perfect. And so your employee is leaving the post office at that point with this document, and I'm sorry to be pedantic, I'm really just trying to understand, and not the mail. The mail is now in the hands of the USPS.
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct.
Hence the stamp by the US Post Office, October 30th. So this label right here corresponds with the label, the number corresponds with the number on the envelope that was mailed to the assessor's office. So the post office checks the address, checks the return address, the address where it's going, the date of the postage, and then when it's all in agreement, stamps it. So if this Pitney Bowes postage was dated October 30th, but it didn't get to the post office until November 9th, then
Doesn't matter.
this would be a November 9th stamp by the post office when it was received for mailing. But you'll see October 30th and October 30th. So the envelope was prepared by Allison's group. Documents were placed in it. Postage was put on it by the Pitney Bowes machine, which the date can't change. Taken to the post office. This form was filled out, who the sender was, where it was going. You have the Pitney Bowes label on the original, corresponding Pitney Bowes label on the certificate of mailing with the corresponding number, and then a certificate, a stamp by the post office, and then a certificate of mailing October 30th.
Who has the certificate of mailing piece, though? That's, I guess, I'm not sure where that is. Who has that form that says certificate of mailing that's stamped?
It originates with the post office. You get it from the post office, and you
But
pay.
where is that
it goes
now?
back with the sender. It goes back with the sender.
Okay, so you should have a copy of that piece, correct?
You do too. Yeah, no, we have the original, and I sent you a
You've
copy.
got the original. Okay.
We have the original.
So at least my copy, the photocopy, the stamp, right, that from your explanation is being applied by the USPS. It's not very legible. On your copy, can you read what text is in between those two circles, please?
The text between the two circles, it says Kennett Square, October 30th. That's the copy. Let me see. We dig out the original.
And it's also just sort of cut off here too, so we can't tell because the circle goes on to the Pitney Bowes
Yeah, on purpose.
postage, but on the
That's correct.
original, it doesn't show up on the Pitney Bowes postage.
Yeah, it
I'm
doesn't.
trying to figure-
I have here in my office.
You just pointed to the envelope.
Those are different. It's different
Or
documents.
Yeah, it won't show up on the envelope received by the assessor. It would be on the certificate of mailing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking for the original.
You just had it on that piece of paper.
I
So
know.
the certificate of mailing does include the actual Pitney Bowes postmark also. The certificate of mailing includes that $1.45.
Right,
It's
because
a
we have to
duplicate.
pay for
It's-
that, yes.
Yes. So you have to give the post office two Pitney Bowes stamps. They correspond. And then the seal goes over the Pitney Bowes, which has a date on it, as well as a certificate of mailing.
Now, on the Pitney Bowes,
There it
this is
is.
fun. I'm getting a primer on the USPS. So there's a couple of numbers on both copies. So I noticed, right, the two Pitney Bowes stamps, one on the certificate of mailing and then one on the postage, have a lot in common. They look like they're identical. So I see zip 19348. Okay. What's 021W on
I don't
the
know.
next line down?
I don't know.
What's that final line? 000138.
I don't know. I know it's some type of serial number. But
So I guess what I'm trying to understand is that a number that, if that's a serial number, right? And the Pitney Bowes machine only puts out one of those and it's going to be the same on the mailer and the envelope, then I think that's pretty obvious to me then that this document was meant to capture the same thing as this envelope. If that
Yes.
number is like an organizational identifier, it tells me that it was put out of the same office, but isn't necessarily telling me it was the same envelope.
Yeah, Allison, can you answer to that?
I believe that 00013888244 is actually the Pitney Bowes, corresponds to the Pitney Bowes machine.
Okay.
So that number there really is, this is going to be the same on all of them,
Okay.
right? The date itself is the date October 30th, 2019. That's the date that we went physically down into our mailroom and got that postage. And then we took it to the post office, the Kennett Square post office. For the Kennett Square, I know it's hard to see. So then they stamped it. If the date on the Pitney Bowes postage meter was not the date that we physically went to the post office, the post office would have done one of two things. They would not have accepted the envelope, or they would have stamped the envelope with their date, which would have been different. So if we had taken it there, let's say on November 1st, for some reason, instead of October 30th, then the envelope would have a stamp from the post office over that postage, because the post office will not accept a piece of mail that is not dated the date you take it to the post office.
I think we understand that.
Yeah.
Got
and-
it. Thank you.
Does it-
And
anyone
then
have any additional questions?
corresponding stamp from the post office is October 30th. So,
Okay.
I just wanted to ask one other thing. So every time you'd, for the postage machine, when you want to do this, you get 2 of the Pitney Bowes stamps, you said. So $1.45 each. And because there's one that goes on the envelope, there's one that goes with the certificate. So your Pitney Bowes machine prints out $2.45.
Well, I haven't done this in a really long time. How much it costs us to have that certificate of mailing stamped by the post office. That's an extra fee, just like the certified mail. It costs extra. So that could be why the envelope has $1.45 and the certificate of mailing has $1.45. As I said, I haven't done this in a long time, but it is something that we pay for. They're not going to stamp it for nothing. Believe me, they don't do anything for nothing. So.
Well, that I understand, but they're both identical as far as the numbers that have been read off and the amount. So I don't understand where these 2 originated from.
They originated from our mailroom. That's how much, when they weighed the envelope, how much postage was due on it, plus what needed to be paid to have that certificate of mailing done.
So the certificate of mailing is identical to the postage amount generally?
To tell you the truth, I really don't know. I actually sent an email to somebody to ask it, what is the cost of the certificate of mailing piece? It's a lot cheaper than the certified mail, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
But once again,
It's basically a cover for this particular situation, right?
what?
It's basically to prove that you sent it if
Correct.
a particular situation arises that we
And
find.
I've been doing this for 21 years for Genesis and for another 15 years for other companies. So this is something that's used quite often.
Did they, and this is going to be the final question, then we got to move on because we're running out of time here. Did you guys send any other tax declarations out to any other towns or on that particular day that maybe were received late too?
No, we did not get any other receipts late.
Got it. But maybe some others went out that day as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
A lot of them.
Okay. All right. I think that's all we've got from you. We're kind of running behind schedule. So thank you both for taking the time to join us today.
We
And
appreciate it.
you will receive a notice in the mail. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to do this through Zoom. It's been great. So,
okay.
Very good. Everybody be well.
You as
All right.
well.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give you a minute, but Highcroft is in the waiting room.
Thanks.
Okay. Paul is exiting.
Jennifer, we still got Paul here. Can we close him out?
This is Ron Janesco. You've got me on the call.
Hey, Ron, hold on just a second, okay?
Yep, sure.
Is Paul still there, or is he just
I'm trying to get rid of him.
okay? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, where did I go?
To turn off your camera?
I don't know.
Oh,
Lost your connection.
there we are.
You are.
Good deal.
Okay, so
So
we've
we
got
have Chris Nelson, and we also have Ron. Or we do have Ron, you're phoning in?
We are partners. We're both on the application.
Yep.
Okay.
But
All
the
right,
phone
so-
in is from Ron. I would like to try to rename him here. Because what we see is a phone number, and it is Ron, correct?
That's
Yes.
correct.
And is there a third party also calling in?
That's just the two of us. We're 100% of the ownership.
I had tried to set up on Zoom and somebody typed me notes saying I was the applicant, and I couldn't respond for some reason. I don't know why, but so I tried on a phone, but now I've got the Zoom, so we're all set.
Okay, you're all set, guys.
okay. So just quickly to both of you, and then we can dive into this. Do you solemnly swear and solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
I do as well.
Okay, thanks, Ron and Chris. All right, so we're talking about Highcroft Phase 2, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The floor is yours, however you guys want to. We've each got a packet of everything you've submitted. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I'll be really brief. You know, we came before you about a year and a half or two years ago at this point, when we had the revaluation, and phase 1 of Highcroft we felt was a little high on the assessment, and we hired an appraiser, and he helped us to generate numbers and compare with other apartments in Simsbury. And you folks got together with us at a meeting like this, but in person, and you agreed and reduced the assessment by, I believe at that time it was 10% of what it was set at. And so that, you know, we were satisfied with that and happy that you guys gave us some relief, and we just rolled forward building phase 2. When phase 2 was completed, you know, we had a temporary assessment, and we knew that wasn't the final number. And then once the final number did come, we were a little bit surprised, because it basically had a value that was higher per unit than the larger, more luxurious, and with attached direct access garages, phase one. So we ran some numbers and we tried to run some comparisons, and basically that's the lead into the mull it over. You kind of see Aspen Green, which is down the street from us and fairly similar to phase two, which is what we're disputing. And their price or assessment per unit and dollars per square foot is $98,000 and change and $73 a foot. And when you look at what our new phase two, is assessed at $115 a foot, that's 57% higher. And Aspen Green includes townhomes with attached garages, individual units. It's all blended together in that assessment. So there may be some pluses and minuses, but we thought that 57% higher and a total dollars per unit higher than our earlier phase didn't seem to make sense to us. So we tried to create two scenarios at the bottom of that spreadsheet that show a couple of approaches. Approach one, concept one, takes the same $88 a foot and applies that to phase two, and you can see the result there. And that, quite honestly, is what we had used to budget our annual property tax. And we didn't do this in a vacuum. As the cover letter says, we worked with our property managers, who we've been working with in Simsbury now for, I think, 7 years, and with David prior to his departure. And so we were confident in that number. But as we started to discuss this with Francine, and we do tend to agree that because it's a smaller unit, a smaller package, the dollars per square foot of value might be